Hey there, everybody. It's Dr. Roto. Get out the insurance cards. Get out the copay. The office is open, my friends. All right, it's time for Waiver Wire Wednesday. Let me give you some of the best plays that you can find out there. All right, first, at quarterback, I've got three names for you. The first one is C.J. Beathard. Playing the Green Bay Packers this weekend. Packers are not one of the greatest defenses out there. We all know that. We saw what Matthew Stafford did last week. He could have done a lot more, but they were up by like 24-0 at halftime. Beathard, remember, was Kyle Shanahan's guy. He was his handpicked guy in last year's draft. But when they got traded for Jimmy Garoppolo, they pushed C.J. Beathard to the side. So there is some talent there. If you are desperate for a quarterback, you have Drew Brees, you have Matthew Stafford, you need somebody, C.J. Beathard's a good play this week. I mentioned Jameis Winston last week. You probably can't get him this week, but he's playing the Atlanta Falcons, and everybody scores against the Falcons. I mean, Jameis Winston's going to be a very highly owned guy, especially in DFS circles as well this week. So you absolutely want to start him, considering that the Falcons have literally 5 guys injured, and they're all their best players. And then finally, Mitch Trubisky, maybe he's still out there, but I want to exercise a word of caution. I don't think he has a very big week against Miami. I think if you were playing him in DFS, maybe he gets 3x because his salary is not that high. But in seasonal, it's different. I like Mitch Trubisky. I love his skill position players. I love the head coach. But do I trust him? No. He was terrific against the Buccaneers, but the Dolphins are not the Buccaneers. Dolphins aren't a great defense by any means, but they're better than the Buccaneers. Mitch is not throwing for 6 touchdowns this week. So if you want to pick him up, great, but let's not invest too heavily and don't pay a lot of money for him. Okay, at running back, Jay Ajayi, as we saw, is out for the year with a torn ACL. So most likely in your league, I would think that Corey Clement is probably owned, but Wendell Smallwood is available. Now, I like Wendell Smallwood. I liked him way back in college. He's a good player. But is he a great player? He's good. He's good. At best, he shares time with Corey Clement. In another week or two, Darren Sproles is back, and now it's a 3-headed Hydra. And what if they make a trade, which the Eagles have done in the past, right? The Eagles are a trading team. What if they trade for Le'Veon Bell? What if they trade for LaShawn McCoy? I think a LaShawn McCoy makes way too much sense for it not to happen. Chris Ivory gets the role in Buffalo. McCoy goes to the Eagles. The Bills get a 3rd or 4th round pick. Everybody's happy. So be careful with Smallwood. I'll bid on him, but I'm not going to bid heavily on him at all. Alfred Morris, I think, is a really good buy this week. Matt Breida is out there bringing in guys off the streets right now. Now, here's the problem with Morris. I like him, but they could be behind in this game. And if they're behind against the Green Bay Packers, they're not going to run the ball with Alfred Morris. And Morris is not a particularly great pass catcher out of the backfield. So pay for him, but don't pay too much for him. I don't want to see you get ripped off. Mike Davis from Seattle. Wow. I mean, watch the tape on this guy the last couple of weeks. He has been outstanding. He has run fiercely is the only word I have for it. He looks fierce out there. So they're playing the Raiders. I've got to think that this guy is worth 60 yards and a touchdown this week. Certainly in a standard scoring league, I'd be very interested. How about Donta Foreman? You know I believe in the words stash and cash. Kerryon Johnson was my stash and cash before the year started. Look how that turned out. I think Donta Foreman is my stash and cash now. Now, Lamar Miller's just not getting it done. So we saw last week when Lamar Miller was out, they really used Alfred Blue. He played like 25, 28 touches of the football. Foreman is going to get 20 touches of the football. He just has to get back on the field. It's going to happen soon, and Lamar Miller is not the answer. So please, if Foreman is out there in your league, go stash him now. You'll be happy when it comes playoff time when you'll be able to use him. Okay, at receiver, I've got some guys for you. The first one, DJ Moore. Here's another stash and cash guy I'm in love with. Watch him. Watch some of the tape. He looks like he's playing at a different speed than the rest of the receivers. I mean, Devin Funchess is here and DJ Moore is here. He's just that fast. Now, is he good enough for Cam Newton? No, because nobody's good enough to play with Cam Newton because Cam Newton's all over the place. But Moore is a really good receiver, and I think he gets better and better as the year goes on, and I want to own him now. Speaking of guys I want to own now, I may want to own Josh Reynolds this week. Who's Josh Reynolds? He's out of Texas A&M, and he's the 4th receiver on the Rams. If Brandon Cooks or Cooper Kupp don't make it back because of the concussions, Josh Reynolds is going to play. And if he plays, he's a very sneaky start. So keep your eyes on Josh Reynolds this week. Marquez Valdes-Scantling looked good last week. I mean, you know that the Packers want to get rid of Randall Cobb. When Cobb leaves, they've got a triumvirate of Devontae Adams, Geronimo Allison, and Marquez Valdes-Scantling. These are three good receivers there. Then they've got Equanimeous St. Brown. They're pretty deep at receiver. You also have Aaron Rodgers, arguably one of the top 3 quarterbacks in the NFL. So I would say that Valdes-Scantling, if he's on the waiver wire, you may want to invest a few dollars. And finally, I'll give credit to my man Adam Ronis there, who mentioned Tre'Quan Smith before the year started. I think as the season moves on, Ted Ginn is going to see less and less playing time. So you've got Michael Thomas 1, and then you've got Tre'Quan Smith and or Cameron Meredith becoming the number 2 receiver. So Meredith is probably a better route runner, but Tre'Quan Smith is the faster receiver. I think there's a spot for both guys. Look at what Ted Ginn did on the roster. Why couldn't Tre'Quan Smith do the same thing? I think he could. I think he's like your John Ross type, 2 for 52 and a touchdown. He's never going to get 8 or 10 targets a game, but he could do well in small doses. I think Cameron Meredith is a guy who gets 6, 8, 10 targets. Maybe he goes 6 for 60. You know, he's the Ryan Grant, maybe a little bit better than that, but that's how he plays, where Tre'Quan Smith is the big play guy. So I'd bid on both those guys on your waiver wire this week if they're available. Finally, I've got 3 names for you at tight end. The first is Cameron Brate. So in the waiver wire, sometimes we have to strike at a certain time. So O.J. Howard is out, going to be out for at least another 2 weeks. So now is the time to get Cameron Brate. Cameron Brate gets to play the Atlanta Falcons. Falcons not very good against the tight end. And Jameis Winston loves throwing to the tight end. Loves throwing to the tight end, loves throwing to Cameron Brate. It's like his favorite red zone target. All these things add up to, I would pay for Cameron Brate. I wouldn't overpay for him. I wouldn't, but I would pay 30, 40, 50 bucks just so I could, basically like a rental. I rent the guy for a couple of weeks, I let him do his thing, and then I cut him. Okay, that's how I perceive play guys like that. I get him for a couple of weeks, and then I move on. But Greg Olson's out there. Greg Olson may be out there in your league. If he is, you got to go pick him up. Somebody may have cut him a few weeks ago. I know that I think I cut him in 1 league. I kept him in 2 others, but I think I was desperate and I didn't know when he was going to be back. So if he's out there, you must get him. He's a big, big target for Cam Newton. And you know that Cam Newton always overthrows his targets. Greg Olson's like 6'5", so it's very hard to overthrow him. If the foot is right, if he's healthy, he's obviously a great pickup. He's probably a top 7, top 8 tight end. So you're going to want to get him. And finally, I'm going to give you the deepest sleeper that nobody's ever been thinking about, a guy named Niles Paul. Now, Austin Seferian Nightmare, you know, is on the IR. He's done for the year in Jacksonville. But let me tell you what I like about Niles Paul. He's an exceptional blocker, exceptional. He played for the Redskins when Jordan Reed was out, and he did a pretty good job. Last week alone, he had 9 targets, and he had 7 receptions. So he's got decent enough hands, and he's a really good blocker, which means he stays on the field. I know O'Shaughnessy's there, but he's not the player that Niles Paul is. I think Niles Paul, if you're looking for a very cheap guy in DFS, you're looking for a guy at the waiver wire, you're in a 2 tight end league, and you need a guy, Niles Paul might be that guy. All right? So here's what I want you to do. I want you to go to scoutfantasysports.com right now and sign up. Use the code ROTO1. That's Roto number 1. We'll give you 1 free month, and you can join us, be part of the Scout Army, and let us help you win your fantasy football league. And you could also go to scoutdfs.com. We got a fantastic optimizer that I use every week. I think it's tremendous. And if you use VIP25, that's VIP25, you get $25 off your first month. That's pretty cool, right? So 25 bucks off your first month. It'll pay for itself hopefully by the next month. And that's what you're looking for. All right, but it's time now to put away the insurance cards, put away the copay. The office is closed, my friends. Good luck on the waiver wire this week. This is Dr. Roto saying be well and take care.